This is the captain.
Oh my god.
It's Kurt.
Call me Snake.
It's Snake.
The name's Pliskin.
It's Pliss.
Stuntman Mike.
Really? Really?
Wait a minute, I'm a reasonable guy, but I've just experienced some very unreasonable things.
Trust me, the old way's the best way.
See what happens.
It's Kurt Russell month here on Somebody Told Me to Watch.
Yo!
Hello and welcome to Somebody Told Me to Watch This, a movie podcast for those in fear of credibility. If this is your first time with us, I'd like to say welcome. If you're returning, I'd like to say thank you. But as always, if you learned anything from us, it was purely accidental. I'll be your host, Mike D., an ancient Chinese warrior doomed to a body that fades into dust. But I've brought some of my other Chinese warriors along for the ride, and they all know extensive kung fu action. First, we have the man who's a long-armed trucker of the law, Janos P.
Pork rinds.
I thought it was pork chop.
Oh yes, pork chop, but
Pork
still
chop.
pork related.
Pork chop express.
Yeah, it's pork related. I'm sticking with my story.
She's doomed to marry a Chinese warlock, Jenny D.
Hello.
She's been locked up with the other mystical creatures in the basement, Britt K.
Hi there.
And today is a good day. And today is the first day of our month of Kurt Russell. We're going to go from some of it obscure to some of his best. But all the time, we will focus on that beautiful man and his mullet throughout the ages. And today, we're going to start off with one of his cult films, Big Trouble in Little China. So I'm going to jump right into it. What did you think of Kurt Russell in this movie? Actually, let me take that back. How did you like the movie overall? I'm going to go with someone who doesn't look like she's happy with the film. Jenny D.
Me?
Yeah!
Oh. I mean, I'm not happy with the film. I mean, you know, it was a kung fu movie from the 80s. I don't know what we were expecting.
A rich plot, great characters.
No, I wasn't expecting any of that, actually.
Well, did you like it?
I mean, parts of it were amusing, and then parts of it were just, like, really out there.
Stereotypical of movies of the time.
Yeah, I don't know, like, some of it with all the, like, supernatural, like, wizardy, magic-y stuff just, like, went way, way out there.
But you can't
I was
fault
like,
them for not
okay.
trying. Like, they could have held back. They were like, nope, dial it up to 11. Let's do
yeah,
this.
they definitely dialed it up to 11.
Because I've seen this movie many times,
in fact,
but never
it
in
was-
one sitting.
It was almost ridiculous, actually.
But that was the best part, in my opinion. I love the craziness. John Carpenter, it's one of his movies. All good. The soundtrack, memorable. I liked it a lot. How about you, Noosh?
I usually watch this movie like once every year and a half.
Oh god, I have to watch this again?
Yes. Well, not necessarily. You don't have to be in the same place. Or I can just just strap on a VR headset and just watch it in one piece in a giant 120-foot theater.
Okay. I might hide upstairs the next time you watch that.
Fair enough.
Just whenever you see him with that headset on, you know to just leave, because he's sitting there, oh, Kurt Russell. Why can't you just save me?
The one thing I noticed about this movie, and I pointed out to Brittany, is how he constantly strips back down to his muscle shirt throughout the entire movie.
I think I made a comment, like, when he removed the jacket, and I said something like, why in the world was that necessary? Like,
in such a tight, confined
like-
space, you couldn't have waited until after you got out of the tunnel full of trash?
it
Good
was
God,
it
no.
was really, like, strangely placed. It was really awkward. I was like, there were, like, 5 different times you could have removed your jacket before this point.
But you had to do it then.
You're in the middle of escaping
in the tunnel of
in
garbage.
a tunnel, and all of a sudden, like, it wasn't even like it got caught on something. He's just like, have to remove this now.
Oh wait, let me take this off.
Didn't show enough muscles for everybody.
It was a good idea at the time.
And you women didn't appreciate it? I'm not a Kurt Russell fan.
I mean, the mullet definitely kind of throws me off a little bit.
You have a hard-on for MacGyver. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but he didn't have a mullet.
The mullet takes away. MacGyver doesn't really have a mullet.
Oh,
It's borderline. It's not full-on mullet.
But what I liked Richard Dean Anderson, he did not have a mullet.
Alright. Britt, I think with the little edges in your voice, how did you like the film?
Similar to Jenny, it was pretty ridiculous. It definitely is characteristic of a lot of random movies from that time period, just with the music and just the randomness of it all.
Like, what would you compare it to?
What would I compare it to? I don't even know.
And you have the early Jackie Chan movies, like just...
They had lightning gods?
No, they didn't have
You know
lightning
what?
gods, but they had a lot of, like,
You know
bad
what?
dialogue.
Yeah, what is it? The one Eddie Murphy
The Golden
movie,
Child.
The Golden Child. I think I've seen snippets. I've seen bits and pieces of that movie.
Yeah.
Just like the music and the
kind of the
background,
feel of it
the
with
feel
like
of
the
it.
mystic China.
Everything from China has to be mystical.
And
for some
every
reason.
Chinese man.
Mystical, magical.
Chinese man. Every.
And two of the actors from this movie were also in The Golden Child anyway.
Of course. What's his name?
Hong
Scene?
and Wong were both in this movie.
And Wong?
Those actors.
Yeah.
Really?
Those are their last names.
The last name Wong, the guy who played Egg, and then the
Oh,
guy who
okay.
played.
Because there's a guy named Wong in this movie. He's one of the main characters.
Oh, sorry. The guy who played Egg, his last name is Wong. I can't remember his first name. He was in Golden Child, and so was the bad guy.
Yeah, Lo Pan.
Yeah, he was in Golden Child also.
And I'm sure everybody's favorite terrorist was in that. I don't know his name,
Yes.
but if you've ever watched an 80s action film, you've seen this guy. He was in the Red Gang at the beginning.
He's
he
like
was
half
bald,
going bald and
then
long
he had
straight
long hair
hair.
and a big mustache.
Yeah,
He's in everything.
mentioned that. It's like he does look really familiar, but
You have seen him, but you'll never know his name.
no.
I don't think I've seen anything.
He's the one who
with him in
eats
it.
the Twinkies in Die Hard.
It was the candy.
Okay, the candy.
Stereotypical Asian thug number 2.
Well, how did I heard recently on certain forums and everything while looking up stuff about this movie that some people say this might not be made today because there's a lot of racial undertones about it. Did anybody feel like any malice was coming from this movie portraying Chinese or Chinatown or anything like that?
Well, I don't know that racial undertones necessarily means malice.
Not more so than any other movie that I've seen. Like, not more so than like Rush Hour or any other movie I've seen with Chinese or Asian culture portrayed in it.
Any kung fu movie has a little bit of like the Asian stereotypes.
Like I was trying to see it in this movie. I couldn't. I just saw this as like if you went to China and saw
stereotypes happen and they exist for a reason.
The one thing I could say, if you were to look at movies, I mean, going slightly off topic, well, off the movie film, but on the topic, if you're looking at movies that were made maybe 20, 30 years ago but couldn't be made today, I think this is something that could still be made today, whereas something like Blazing Saddles wouldn't.
Do you think there would be any backlash? Well, you can't halt this film for whitewashing.
Yeah.
No.
There's no whitewashing in this, except for Kurt Russell. So why don't we just
Well,
get right into him?
I don't know, maybe a little bit. What's her name? The one
The love interest.
Chinese girl, the love interest with the green eyes. I think maybe what they would nitpick is that she might be only half Chinese or something.
Oh,
But she
yeah.
looked like she was maybe half white or something.
Well,
but-
Yeah.
she had to be that because she had so much acting that was demanded of her with her 4 lines.
Yeah.
And then just standing still for the rest of it.
Yeah.
And she had some very good blinking. I completely believed it. But what about the main character, Kurt Russell? The man we're all here to see.
That's right.
I think this was one of the first movies where the main character really wasn't the...
Hero.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say the hero, but the invincible... the person who's invincible and who will always get through all the encounters that they have.
Yeah, he
That's
constantly
He
messes
got a lot
up.
of credit for being the hero in the end, though, but he didn't do shit.
That's what's so great about him. You expect, like, the whole time you're seeing him mess up. He's not doing anything. He's not beating anybody up. He's not saving the girls. He is just that. He's just a guy full of shit that's a smartass. But yet, for some reason, we're always like, yeah, he's the main guy. He's what's going to make the difference.
Little what's-his-name that owns the restaurant? Wang.
Yeah.
He did all the work.
Yeah. But the whole time we're following Kurt Russell, and I'm like, all right, Kurt Russell is the most important person here, when he's not. But throughout the entire movie, I felt that he was.
Wang did all the work and kept telling Kurt Russell's character, "Oh, we need you, we need your help." And it's just like, dude, you're doing all the work. You don't need him.
I think halfway through, though, he kind of was not necessarily saying, we need you. He was definitely all about, I'm going to go do this.
It's just like, come
I
on,
don't care if
man.
you're coming or not. I'm going.
But that
Kurt Russell kind of imposed himself on the situations a couple times.
Yeah, but
I said I'd help you, and now I'm going to help you.
But that's so great of his character that, like, you can tell he can't do anything, but yet we
he
still
couldn't do
believe he
shit.
can.
Yeah.
He failed when trying to fight and pull out the knife. He accidentally throws it to the side. He
shot the gun and, like,
He knocked
half
himself
the
out.
ceiling came down on him.
on the final
he was
fight, he
knocked
knocks
out for,
himself
like,
out.
half of the final fight.
He can't even kiss the girl correctly, and he has lipstick all over his face. He even fails at that.
And Britt pointed out, even had lipstick on his
Got
teeth.
on his
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah,
So, like,
ew.
everything about a leading
Goldie
man.
Hawn moment.
He just fails at. But yet, I still can't positively say, like, he is not the hero. I still think he is.
He was the one that he wanted his truck. That was his goal throughout the entire movie.
Which he actually abandoned halfway through. He was like, whatever, I'll get a new truck. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, and then he was like, I want my truck. Actually, I think he was just more ticked off about the insurance not being able to go through.
Yeah.
Because he needed his truck to get the insurance paperwork, but then he still got his truck. So
Yeah.
But I don't know why I don't know why I like this character so much, who can't do anything, but yet he makes me believe that he could do anything. But he fails every single time.
I liked his little friend Wong. He was cute. I liked him.
it was essentially the Indiana Jones and Temple
Wang?
of Doom.
Wang.
Equivalent.
Wang or Wong.
What if they followed Short Round instead?
Yeah.
Oh, God. That's horrible.
I think the reason
actually
we-
said that at one point. I'm like, oh, come on, Short Round's doing all the work.
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
I
my
couldn't
goodness
remember what his
gracious.
name was. I'm like,
Uh-uh.
Short Round is doing all the work. What's going on here?
But I think the reason we like it that enjoyed Kurt Russell is because, I mean, one, of course, the camera's always going to center on him, but he wasn't so unbearable that we couldn't stop watching him. He did manage to do some things properly.
I'm trying, as I think back, I'm trying to think of something. Even when
He shot off the gun and killed the guy. When they were going to go rescue the girls, he was able to stealth through underneath the bridge and go up top and
That was pretty
release
cool.
everybody.
And he did kill the main bad guy.
And
Yeah,
he did.
managed
but
to
he
catch,
messed
he
up.
managed to catch
Yeah.
the knife and get him in the forehead the second time around.
And he didn't back off from anything, really.
But he kept failing every time.
But it's a good lesson in perseverance.
Like Wang, like you said before, Wang is the hero who, like, never backs down, successful, he's competent, he'll never give up, he'll do anything to save the girl.
He spoke
And he
coherently. He,
but-
didn't
yeah.
have a stereotypical
He
Chinese
wasn't
accent at all.
an asshole in
Yeah,
any
but
way.
even he kind of wasn't necessarily 100% successful all the time. I mean, he did have some fights. Like, I noticed definitely a difference between his fights before he took that, like, mojo juice and
Yeah.
after he took that mojo juice. Like, he was
lost,
definitely
he
more
lost
confident.
that card game.
Yeah, and he did lose the card game, yeah.
Yeah, but even
he
then, it's
wasn't
like
confident in
a
his
progression of a underdog into that main hero that solves everything. So he is like that. Kurt Russell is not. That's what I like so much about this movie, is that we're following the sidekick.
Yes.
I definitely did like that more than other movies where the main character is always successful and he's always the one who defeats the bad guys and he's always doing this and he's always doing that and he never fails. But this was a lot more believable.
Believable with the Chinese magic and the demon.
No. That's not the part that's believable.
The sidekick got the
believable
girl.
part is the part that he wasn't always successful and he kept trying, but he wasn't always successful. He did his best and he was
He's
a
not
little
a Mary
clumsy.
Sue.
Yeah.
Yes. I love Mary Sue. What was the guy's name? There's one for guy. That's a girl, and then there's another one.
Oh.
What's that?
Mary Sue,
I
and
never
there
have
is
heard this term before.
Mary Sue is basically that generic character archetype that does everything right
Yeah.
and
okay,
can
sure.
do no wrong. Very special.
Dudley Do Right?
No.
Is that what you're going with? I
No,
have
there's
no
a Mary
idea.
Sue, and then that's just basically a nickname for when you make a main character so perfect in every way that it just fits like your
Okay, I've never heard that.
yeah. There's one for Mary Sue is the woman who's that, and then there's another nickname for a guy.
Male Stews are called Gary Stews or Marty Stews.
Yeah, and they're like the perfect person.
Right.
That like most like you see stereotypical
Right.
heroes, that stuff.
That was the believable part.
Infallible, all that good stuff.
The point is that was the believable part. That they have believable personalities.
And
The
even
plot line not believable. Personalities were believable.
What? I think in Chinatown, roaming color gangs have kung fu fights in the middle of funerals. I believe that.
And secret underground tombs definitely have electrical wiring for neon lights.
Absolutely.
I like it was
and
accenting the
fallen
Buddha.
trees, in the cave.
Yes.
But back to your point about Kurt Russell, there's even little nuances in his performance that I love. Like when he shoots the guy for the first time, shoots somebody, and Wang's friend, the maitre d', I can't remember his name, that's not the first time you've plugged a guy, is it? And he's like, Kurt Russell just turns, no, and then you see that look on his face, like that, like, oh crap, it is look on his face, that if you just watch him, and I love that.
Which it seems really strange that it's not the first time for him.
It is the first time for Kurt Russell for killing someone.
I know, but
Yeah.
it's not the first time for the maitre d' guy.
Oh yeah, he's just
Is it your first time plugging someone? And he's all throwing out slang terms for killing people, and I'm just like, whoa, it's not
It's
your
dangerous.
first time. Waiter person dressed in a plaid suit.
yeah,
Okay,
those
what
pants.
What are you up to in your spare time?
It was kind of interesting that he was always in that suit. Even when they were, going after the bad guys, he didn't change into something a little bit more appropriate. He's still in his, three-piece suit.
No.
Yeah, and I think Kurt Russell had one of the most.
I don't think anybody had a costume change
No.
except for the women.
Well,
No,
it happens
Kurt
over
Russell,
like
too.
Well,
one day.
Kurt Russell did.
Kurt
a little
Russell
bit,
did.
if
He
you
had
count.
The brothel.
Kind
Three.
of.
He had his
Yeah.
main mustard shirt one. He had the one when he went in the brothel.
Well, that was intentional. That was a disguise.
Right.
Right.
And then there was.
And then
when he was
they were
wearing
washing
the
clothes.
bathrobe.
Yeah.
And that was intentional too because they just came out of the ring.
Right.
Well, I mean,
Other
I
than
guess
that-
you're supposed to believe this all happened in one night, I guess.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
day or two.
Yeah.
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 I mean, then they were kidnapped probably for a couple hours, maybe 12 hours or whatever.
Maybe.
There wasn't really a whole lot of time to change.
3 days tops.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of time to change when you're running away from the,
Not a whole
dead
lot of time
Chinese
for
emperor.
sleeping or
sorcerer.
showering.
Yeah, he was cursed by an emperor, and then he's
Yeah.
still alive. That was Lopan, who he's kind of like. I saw him as more of a pervert than a
Yeah.
threat the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
time. I was like, this is really creepy.
Lopan. Lunch special number 5.
Well, he was a threat when he was in his, sorcerer ghost form.
But he couldn't do
that
anything
was
except
definitely
the
kinda
whole
scary. Yeah,
fire
well,
in the
yeah.
sky
I mean,
type of thing.
Not scary, but for me, but scary for the characters.
Yeah.
That would have been threatening. But, his 2,000-year-old body form was a little, ridiculous.
But he
Just
was
a
also
little.
he's also in a lot. He's like a big
That old
character.
guy?
Yeah,
actor.
he was in a lot. His voice just sounds really familiar. He was the bad guy in the Jackie Chan cartoon.
There was a Jackie Chan cartoon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
He was the wizard with the
Yeah, he always
green
plays
face.
some Chinese
the Jackie
wizard.
Chan
And
Adventures.
very big in the 80s. They had like 3 Chinese actors that were in. If there was any China act,
Yeah.
they were in it. Him, that terrorist, Egg San,
And Mr. Miyagi.
Egg-san. Yeah, no, not really. I think these guys got more work.
No, Mr.
Mr. Miyagi was Mr. Miyagi, so he was typecast as that. So you couldn't have him show up as other.
Yeah, no, Egg-san was only really in Three Ninjas.
Oh, he was in other stuff. I've seen him so
Yeah.
many times.
But no, there was really, I think, 4. Because you got to think, Miyagi was also in Conan.
I thought that was Mako.
no. That is, no, you're right, that is Mako.
Now you're kidding. Your Chinese actors are
I
confused.
feel horrible now.
Oh man,
Okay.
what are you doing?
Well, how about we go into Gracie Law,
Great.
the other white of this
Kim
film?
Cattrall.
Yes,
Is that her name?
Her acting was
Yeah, she
Not-
should have been kidnapped maybe earlier in the
not
movie, so
as-
she wouldn't have had to show up in so many scenes.
Her acting was not as lazy as the other female leads, but well, not as lazy, but not as non-existent. But it was, I don't know.
I liked how when they introduced her, it was at the airport. She really didn't say anything. And then for some reason, it's like, we need to bring her back.
Over the top. That's what I'm going for. Yeah,
like
she
the,
was a
the
little
Sylvester Stallone movie.
No,
Oh.
not like exaggerated.
Okay, No,
Exaggerated over the top a little bit is what Kim Cattrall.
I think Kim
was
Cattrall was
doing.
like, she read the script and she's like, I really signed on for this, and that's how she's giving her performance.
Yeah, and
Like,
I think her and the other actress were just sharing the same pair of green colored contact lenses.
I didn't even think her eyes were that green.
They're not because
No.
no.
they're just contacts.
Remember when they did the close up of the eyes
yeah.
for that like
That's the only
trial
time.
thing? I'm like, they're the exact same color.
That's
Even
the only
even
time.
the blending of the very center near the iris outward. Yeah, those are definitely contacts. Okay.
That's the only time they looked green. Like every other scene, they looked gray.
It's like, we overblew the money on the neon wedding. We can only afford one pair.
That's our budget.
We can only afford one pair of contacts.
Hopefully, they cleaned them because
Either they bought two of the same color and didn't bother to try and get something that would work with the actors, or I don't know, it's
It's
the
buy one,
80s.
get
That's
one
probably
free.
just
Yeah.
what they had.
But
I
even
know.
at the beginning with her, she was even another thing that the main character, Kurt Russell, hit on her, and she did nothing. Absolutely refused. There was not even a smile.
No.
No.
And it's just that sidekick thing where we follow him.
But I liked how...
She was busy. She was trying to rescue someone.
and he did smell like a bar.
It's Miller.
yeah.
It's
She did,
Miller
yeah.
time.
It's
She did tell him that. Yeah, it's
But I
Miller
liked
time.
how when she came, she just appeared in the restaurant and announced her name. It's like, okay.
Gracie Law.
I thought she said Greasy Law. I was like, what does that mean?
That was a terrible name though, and she's a lawyer, right?
Apparently a very
Yeah.
well-known lawyer in China.
Gracie Law. Did she change her name so that it was, Gracie Law? Like, what's the odds? Your name's Gracie
She's-
Law, and you go to be a lawyer.
No, it's
She's
perfect.
apparently a very well-known lawyer in Chinatown. But it seems like she's doing good work, making sure that these girls get safely from the airport into Chinatown so they don't get kidnapped by these gangs and sold into slavery. But it seems like Wang and his friend, the guy in the plaid suit, are saying she's bad news. Like, stay away from her. I'm like, how the hell is she bad news?
Yeah, she never ends up
She's
being bad news.
saving women from being sold into slavery. How is she bad news?
I guess kind of one of those things that
She's white.
it's...
Well-
the person means well, but if you get mixed up with what they're doing, you might end up getting stung, so to speak. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention, she also did not have a very, submissive personality, which could have been off-putting if you were, male in the 1980s.
Especially of Asian culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good point.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what it
Yay,
was.
cultural
But
archetypes.
damn!
Yay, cultural archetypes.
I found
We're
it weird.
reading too much into this.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
I'm
so.
sorry.
It was
See
just
how
all
it-
so-
see how-
Sociology stuff.
See how deep this movie goes.
Oh
Yeah.
my god,
Yeah.
this is such a rabbit hole.
We're trying to bring some intelligence to this movie.
That's what the
Just-
movie is meant for.
Just a little bit, right, Jenny? We're trying to validate why we watched this
Yes,
movie.
basically.
Well, let's speak about lawyers. Remember the opening scene where Egg-san is talking to a lawyer, and we get that whole thing where he's like a giant ball of fire, he's arrested and everything.
Which
Why
we
did
never
they
see.
open? Yeah.
We never see anyone get arrested, and we never see the rest of any kind of court trial proceedings at the end of the movie. It's just that one random scene in the beginning. So
And why
it
isn't
was pretty
Gracie
random.
Law defending him?
it's just really
Yeah,
out
that's
of
usually
place.
a bookend. Like, you'll have that at the beginning, and then you'll have that at the end to kind of wrap it all and put it together.
It never got.
It never
followed
came
up.
back to it.
The movie ended with him driving off in the truck with that weird, creepy labyrinth type monster hitching a ride on the back.
I also found it funny. It's he's telling the lawyer what happened, but yet we open up on Kurt Russell. How does he know what Kurt Russell's doing?
Well, he's got magic. He might be psychic. He
Oh,
was
that's true.
He was,
He was doing
all
some
in his
fortune
crystal
telling.
ball.
No, his bones.
His bones, my bad.
And he uses
was
geodes like
Scrying
this.
with some bones.
Like a discount Wiccan you find on the like. He just went to one of their shops and bought all the crystals, and that's what he did. Everything.
Needs to do it through Amazon. And be like,
Taoism, Confucianism, something else.
Buddhism.
Like buffet. Take what they want.
Well, did you like the soundtrack? It was John Carpenter, of course.
Oh,
Wasn't
yes.
even listening.
It's very 80s.
It blended
yeah.
in. It sounded like every other 80s movie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
With the synthesizer.
Now, with it, here's a quick question that I wonder. Does a soundtrack work better if you notice it or if you don't notice it?
It should be subtle. It shouldn't be too obvious.
It needs to. It's better if you don't notice it, in my
Really?
opinion.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
there are some times where you can have a soundtrack
Like
that you do
Suicide
notice.
Squad.
Yes. that you do notice because very few times are they done right. Like when we saw Batman vs. Superman, the soundtrack for the Wonder Woman character, that's something we would remember. However,
they turned that up to 11 during that.
True.
I don't remember.
Cue the Xena soundtrack
Yeah.
for Wonder Woman. Off key.
but then we had something like Suicide Squad.
Criticizing Hans Zimmer. My God.
I don't even remember. I really don't.
No, that's atrocious.
Suicide Squad, where
What
they
I
had
remember.
a new song pretty much every 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, that first 20 minutes was just song after song after song.
Those
Right.
were noticeable in a bad way.
Yeah.
So
it's
having
kind
a
of
song
obnoxious.
that you can take immediate notice, like an action song where it's like it starts off really loud and then kind of fades in as talking is going on or movement's going on for you, something to focus on, is always good. Because otherwise you're taking more input through the music and not really paying attention to what people are saying or doing.
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation. When it's like, you're watching important stuff, you don't want to be focusing too much on the music because then you miss what the important stuff is. But if it's like a action sequence montage kind of thing, like it's okay to notice the music then because especially if it's like catchy or whatever, so then it's like, oh yeah, and then you get into it because you're watching this montage with this cool action music and you're like, all right, this is fun.
You
Like
love
an
it.
A-Team episode.
Montage
kind
of
of,
them
yeah.
driving somewhere could use a little music, like Troll Hunter could have used a little bit more music for those extended driving sequences.
But that was all found footage, so you wouldn't expect
Yeah,
that.
I know.
But they managed to edit it into a movie, so they could have taken at least a few extra minutes to edit some music.
I know.
Yeah, but you don't want to notice it every time like Suicide Squad. Then it becomes kind of like overdone and annoying.
Distracting.
Yeah,
And
distracting.
extra money need to pay the
and extra
the
money
artists.
for the royalties on that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. At that point, those songs are so old, they probably got them at a discounted rate.
But
Maybe.
some of them were pretty big names, though. I don't know, AC/DC.
Still, they're older songs. I think they got them out of the classic rock bargain bin.
Well, someone had their iPod on them, and then they just picked whatever came. They shuffled, and that's what they threw in the movie.
All right, we got some AC/DC, we got some Ozzy. What else we got?
Who here is subscribed to Spotify? What are you listening to right now?
Yeah, just remember to cut out the commercials.
All right, everybody, put your iPods on shuffle. Whichever ones come up top 5, that's going in.
Well, did John Carpenter direct this, or was he just, part of it?
No, I think he
I
directed
saw
it.
it was a John Carpenter film.
Well, what I was looking at, I think specifically said director John Carpenter.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
Yeah, he
Maybe
actually
we should Google
didn't like that, which is a fun little tidbit. He hated putting his names, like a John Carpenter's The Thing, John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China. He just didn't like that, but the studio wanted it to promote the films more.
Is he one of those artists that just hates all of their work no matter what?
No, he's one of those that is like, a film is a team effort, so to call it a John Carpenter film.
Okay.
So he actually did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I agree with that.
And it had all the practical effects that the 80s are known for.
Oh, yes.
Low pan in the chair and like the cheesy green screen where it's
The puppet.
flowing through. Yeah, that puppet. I was like, when did the Muppets get here?
Yeah, that came out of
Benson?
nowhere, yeah.
The Beholder and the...
Yeah, the ball.
Oh my gosh, that thing was so creepy.
But it looked good,
It looked
though.
good. It
He
actually...
was so gross, though.
It looked better than
When
some
the
of
eye
CG
came out of his mouth.
It was
Some
nasty.
movies
And
today.
just licking his face.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But then again, we didn't see it interacting in with other people. We just saw it in a still background frame.
Yeah. Until it got
But
stabbed.
seriously,
Yeah.
that Sasquatch-looking creature that I don't see how it fit into the rest of the movie. It was just a random monster roaming around. That looked like something that belonged in, I don't know, Dark Crystal or Labyrinth or something.
Well, you also had the
they
giant
both-
anglerfish that just ate one of the guys. when they
And
were
walked
going-
away.
Oh,
My
yeah,
cameo
that's
is
true.
done.
But it was so easy to get rid of it, too. It was like just threw these pearls in at him.
Just
It's
like
like,
a little-
that won't come out again.
A little late for that.
You didn't even see it. You just saw it come out. It's like, oh, wow. And then the next shot of it is already
The guy's halfway in its mouth.
Everyone's got weapons. No one bothers to try and shoot the thing. We just wait for Egg to throw some magic stones at it.
Of course,
It
that
was
will
almost
fix it.
like they hired a puppeteer, but he could only show up for one day. They had to just get all those
They
scenes
did
in
all
there.
the puppet work.
Yeah.
in
I
that
have to
shot.
be at Dark Crystal by noon, so you have to get 4 hours.
Jim Henson is a bastard if we're late.
Yeah, you're just borrowing these. We gotta take them
Jim
back.
doesn't know that I'm here today. I am moonlighting for this shit.
But there's other effects which I really like. The electricity effects I loved. I didn't find anything wrong. I didn't find them cheesy.
No, the electricity stuff was good.
And just those 3 guys that were just like, 2 do they all do electricity, but then no, only one does electricity.
Yeah.
The other 2 fly.
The one was wind. They were like elemental guys. The one was wind. The one was electricity. But then what the hell was the other guy with the swords? He was just
Bloated.
swords.
No, that was the strength guy. He was bloated.
Yeah, he was wind.
Wind guy got bloated. The last guy was electric.
Yeah, I don't know what the other guy was. He was the one with the fans on his fingers.
I don't know.
Yeah, he only did that once.
Yeah.
That was the electricity guy.
I don't know.
That was Raiden.
But yeah, the guy that showed up second was like
He had the back scratchers.
Asian Fabio with the fabulous hair and the swords.
Yes. I don't think he was anything. He was fabulous. I'll give the power of fabulous with my cat scratchers. He was,
You need those cat scratches. That's pretty long hair to be combing all the way back.
yeah, I know.
I mean, seriously, when he takes his straw hat off and he flips his hair around, it's just like, oh, okay, you're extremely proud of that, aren't you?
I kind of thought it was
I
going to be a girl when he did that. It was like, all right, you're going to reveal a woman.
When he lands at the funeral in the alley, the face he makes.
All their faces were so outrageous, it was ridiculous. But in just
was
such a great way.
hilarious. It looked like he was constipated.
That was the big guy. He probably was. That
No,
blew up at the end.
they all kind of looked like it, but just he was extra.
Oh, the
special.
extreme
He was
close-ups.
extra special.
Kind of like, this is the 12th time we're doing this take today. Just get it done with. I wonder how much fun, like, if they knew that this was going to be a campy B movie and they just were having fun with
I
it.
think Gracie Law, what's her face? She knew exactly what movie she was in, and she didn't want to be. So that's why her every line was just like, "I don't think that's good." And just it just seems like she just read it and like, I know this is in reference to a giant red monkey demon thing. Do I have to say? And Kurt Russell is just there, like, I know what I'm in. I don't care. I'm gonna act the crap out of this.
I don't care. I'm getting a paycheck. I'll say whatever you want me to say. You want me to take my coat off? I'm gonna take my coat off.
Do you know what? You don't need me to take my coat off? I'm still taking my coat off.
I'm gonna take the hat off too.
Well, you
know,
can't
so
hide
you
those
can see
guns.
these beautiful blue eyes.
I'm
Take
surprised
the
we
hat
didn't see
off.
more of him, actually. Like, I thought that shirt was coming off, too. That undershirt.
He is. I think that's the best because he is the sidekick. So to do that and to be like, oh wow, like that would take away from the main character, which is so great to say stuff like that. Where like the main character and it's not the main character.
Yeah. The main
the beauty
billing
of it.
person isn't the main character.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, though, Indiana Jones, who was the sidekick? The third Indiana Jones movie, I'm sorry. Who was the sidekick?
The dad was the sidekick.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Because the dad was being rescued. He was the sidekick.
True.
And everything focused on
Yeah.
Indy.
It makes you wonder if they could have gone the other way.
Now, I don't think it would pull it off this well because you would have to have Indiana Jones the bumbling sidekick. While you had Sean Connery definitely being that in that movie. Like making the weird quips and failing all the time.
Yes, he was definitely bumbling at some points. Unintentionally, just
It just happened.
because he was older.
I'm trying to think now of movies where the sidekick's the main character.
Oh,
It's not
I
many.
think I want to make you guys watch The Last Crusade now, just because it's one of my favorites. I want to watch it now.
Well, always a later date.
Right now,
But it's Russell month, and Russell's not in that.
You are just ruining my next pick for my movie because I don't know any Kurt Russell movies.
blame Rick.
Let's go back to this one.
Back on track.
Yeah.
Well, you can cut
Don't
off
you
that.
like how the main character Yang just Wang has
Wang.
no hesitation to beat up the Asian guards, the Asian female guards.
He's like,
I
I
thought
got
there'd be a
this.
problem
I know,
with that.
I kind of thought they were going to make a comment about it, like, oh, girls, or, something, but they
Yeah.
didn't.
It's okay. They know kung fu also,
Yeah, everybody
Sure,
knows
yeah,
kung fu.
everybody knows, yeah.
and they have
Sure.
sticks that are shooting poison smoke. So technically, the girls have the advantage.
That's a good point. But I thought they kind of would make a bigger deal out of it, like draw more attention.
Like even
Well-
that, you had the main character Wang being doing the fighting, doing the main character thing, while Kurt Russell was the sidekick trying to find everybody, making poor jokes in the comic relief. It's just everything reaffirms that, and it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the one thing you notice, though, when they were fighting the female guards, they took, like, dozens of hits. And then they knocked out the female guards with, like, 1 or 2 hits.
Yeah, it was kind of easy.
So, I mean, that to me was a little disappointing. Would have been nice to see, like, kind of them going back and forth.
Yeah.
But,
But they're henchmen. They're supposed to go down in
Yeah.
1 or 2 hits.
yeah.
The HP is a lot less than the other ones.
Can we talk about just the fighting in general for a minute?
Yeah.
Because the fighting in the alley between the gangs and the fighting that happened in, like, the dungeon type area, like, with the henchmen, guards, and everything, it just seemed like it was practice time at the Kung Fu Dojo. It seemed like they weren't really trying.
So there was
they
no
were being
choreography to these.
extra careful not to hit each other too hard.
It's like, this is the first day of choreography. By the way, you are all going to be needed as constant extras in the big battle scene at the end.
Yeah.
So don't hurt each other quite yet.
It's
We
like,
don't have the
okay, your
insurance
partners
sign.
and your partners and your partners and your partners. All right. Now, we're doing exercise number 5 and going into exercise number 2. Go.
Well,
And
you
then
always
strictly choreographed moves that they already know.
But like in any movie that you watch, Braveheart's really bad at it. If you look at the background, like you'll focus on the main character and look in the background and look at those extras fighting, it is ridiculously how slow and just like it's almost like they're laughing.
It's not as noticeable because I've seen Braveheart and there's a lot of clashing and there's mess and there's blood and there's people getting dirty and there's
scene
weapons and everything. But in this one, they're fighting hand to hand and they're not getting dirty. There's not a lot of ugly pushing and shoving and knocking of people down. It's very strict, regimented, careful hand-to-hand fighting that's going very slowly.
But it's almost endearing though. Like right now you're thinking about it and you're enjoying it.
It's not even like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Kung Fu like
strictly
practiced
rehearsed on strings.
on the ground, not even when they get into the air, like when they start off on the ground, choreographed.
And you just found that like ridiculous?
I'm just like, oh my god, it's just so obvious. They're either very much beginners or...
But it's so great. Like, you won't have that nowadays because the big scenes and battles, that's all CGI. Those are CGI people.
Yeah,
so you don't
like
have that
They have
anymore.
like maybe a dozen people right up front, and then they just take it, clone, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste.
Well, this one didn't really have that big of a battle like that, but you could... It just, I don't know, something about having real people there and that cheesiness, I think works with a film like this. I think if it was too, like, real and, like, visceral, I think it would just be so jarring that it wouldn't keep up with that kind of silly theme that the whole movie has.
Agreed.
No, but it wasn't even, like, as rough as some of the fight scenes from, say, Cutthroat Island.
So you thought Cutthroat Island had better choreography when it came to fighting?
No, not even choreography, just like the roughness of it. I don't know. I guess I'm used to different type of fights.
I
You're
got
not
you
used to
spoiled
the
by
80s
Hitman.
then.
Oh man.
I got you spoiled with Hitman then.
Yeah, you ruined it. You showed me Ip Man first, and then I'm watching this, and I'm like, what?
But this did feel like something that you would, like, import from, like, an Asian market, like China or Japan, like one of their old school kung fu movies.
I know, especially with all the wonderful kung fu movies like Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah,
And,
something along those lines. This one goes a little more mystical. But I would see them definitely making this movie. If Hollywood didn't make this movie, I'd see
I would
China
actually
like
wanna
making this easily.
I'd be curious to
I thought
see
they
them
were in
remake
China
this.
the whole time. I thought they were in China.
No, Chinatown.
Yeah. Well, I remember him saying something about Hong Kong.
No,
or
they were in
something.
they're in San Francisco because he was talking about the gold rush
When did he say that?
on the bus tour.
Near the beginning.
Remember the Egg
no, I
Foo
don't
Young
remember
bus
that.
tour full of white people going through San Francisco?
When you almost got hit by the bus? That part? I mean, when it almost got hit by the truck?
Yes.
I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't listening to what he said. No, I was listening to Kurt Russell and he said something about Hong Kong. So that's why I
Yeah,
was
remember
like,
they had to go to the airport to pick up the girlfriend who was flying over from China?
oh, maybe that was what it was. I
Probably.
just got confused.
I think they could. I wouldn't say. I would like to see this being redone, but the way Hollywood's been going by with remakes
No.
lately,
I don't think they would get it. I would think it would turn into something that it's not.
yeah, it would turn into something way more serious.
They would try to turn it
Or
into something
way too
extremely
silly.
serious, and they'd probably try to cast like Jet
I don't think
Li
you
as
could get
Wang.
sillier. It's as silly as it gets.
No, I'm like, it's silly enough, but it takes itself seriously. It found that nice little middle ground for me. And I think if it was remade, it would either go really really
I got
hardcore
it.
action or really, really, like, a Seth Rogen type
I got
comedy.
it. They would recast Kurt Russell's character with Jason Statham, and they would recast Wang's character with Jet Li.
How could... No offense to Statham. I love him, but him being a comic relief...
No.
Actually, he
And
did
that's how
that.
they would ruin it. They would try and make it way too
No,
serious.
actually, he was actually really good in Spy. If you haven't seen that
The
movie...
Melissa McCarthy movie.
Yes, he is the best part of that movie, and he is just being the bumbling, he's supposed to be the action hero, but all he does is mess everything up. So it's like a perfect match for this role almost.
Either Jason Statham or The Rock.
No, The Rock's in
I want
everything.
Jason Statham. I'm getting tired of The Rock in movies.
No, I agree, but seeing The Rock being a bumbling idiot the entire time.
Oh, you
But-
mean like Central Intelligence?
Yeah,
Oh.
he was faking being the bumbling idiot, but he was still a bumbling idiot.
That was kind of refreshing, though, as opposed to when he was able to do everything right. Yeah. I don't know. I liked that movie.
Huh.
The Rock is oversaturated at this point.
I'm
He needs
getting
to...
tired of seeing The Rock in movies.
Whatever. I like The Rock.
I want to see him go back to wrestling.
It's okay, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I love you.
I still love you. I would rather see you as a wrestler, though. Stop being in movies.
Nope. I like him in movies.
Arnold already passed the torch to him.
The Tooth Fairy is all I'm
yeah,
gonna
no.
say.
Well, you have
That
to
one was
start
pretty bad,
somewhere.
yeah.
The game plan, the Tooth Fairy.
The game plan was going to be next. The only thing that saves that is that the daughter is adorable. But the Tooth Fairy.
Vin Diesel had his own... What was it?
The pacifier.
Thank you.
Yeah. A lot of them. But he had stuff other than that to kind of pull that out of the fire.
Yeah.
I think Vin Diesel just really needed a paycheck that day.
No, I
Or
think
that year.
a lot of the reasons why they do those is because their kids want them to do it.
No, yeah. The Rock, I think The Rock said that his daughter
Yeah.
wanted him to make the Tooth Fairy movie or something.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even say, like, in Hollywood nowadays, like, Jason Statham, like, going back to him, he is, like, an action star. He fits that definition perfectly, but The Rock is really not an action star.
And half of the movies The Rock has been in, he was billed as The Rock, and he only got them because WWE lobbied for him to be in the movies in the first place, correct?
Some at the beginning,
In the
yes,
very
but
beginning.
he wasn't really part of their studio. He went off on his own.
It took a long time for him to even be billed as Dwayne Johnson.
An action star, like you had Kurt Russell, who was an action star. You had Sylvester Stallone. Primary action movie where they go around just killing everybody, being that action star. We don't have that anymore.
No.
Like Jason Statham's the only one I can think of who's like, it's a Jason Statham action movie. You know exactly what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But you don't have that. Like The Rock, like he does family films, he does dramas sometimes, like Pain and Gain, or
Well, Kurt Russell also did family films as well.
Well, I think we also
yeah.
don't
But at
have-
that beginning, he was like that action. He was actually less on the type of action star than say Van Damme, Seagal, Stallone, Arnold.
Yeah.
Like today we have Jason Statham and
Vin Diesel and...
I think we also don't have such cut and dry movie categories anymore. It's not just an action film. It's not just a romance film. It's not just a comedy.
oh, I think we do.
I don't
Jason
know.
Statham is just
So-
action across
So
the board.
many,
With
so
romance
many
in that.
of them have elements of other movies in them. It's not just an action movie. It's like an action comedy, or it's an action with a lot of romance in it.
Well, who would you
or-
say would fit that role
So-
at this point, besides the one we've named?
I don't know. I don't even know. I can't even think because the actors that I probably would be able to think of are like too old at this point.
The only thing we have to think
Bruce
of
Willis.
is
yeah, but he
Movies.
was like,
He's too old.
we have more movies coming out now.
I think we have less, don't we?
No, I think we have more.
No,
'cause
we have less, I think.
We have less, I feel, because they're
Less
so
good
high
ones.
budget. The studio doesn't want to like do like 6 of those middle ground movies, like the 30 to 50 million. Movies now are like 10 million, or you have 150 million. There's like that middle ground is slowly just going away,
Yeah.
or actually quite fast. Like you don't see like I can't even think of a middle ground movie. off
The
top
only
of my
middle
head.
ground movies that you get are the ones that would be an indie or Sundance Film Festival.
No, those are low. Those are in the 10 million. 10 million is not a
You
lot
maybe-
for a movie.
you
I'm
maybe
talking
get,
about
like,
like
No,
30
No,
to
I'm
50
saying
mil.
that they're at the Indie Sundance Festival, and then the movie companies buy the rights to it to be shown in theaters.
Well, even then, you maybe get like 1 or 2 of those a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking about how much they make coming in. I'm talking about how much they cost to produce and everything overall.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Like the
indie
Sundance
films.
ones are only like $1 million, $2
Right.
million. They don't put any more into the film. They just get the distribution rights when they get picked up. But like we don't have any of those middle ground movies anymore. You're either a blockbuster or you're like
Look,
that middle
there's
middle
not
road.
really a
Nah.
lot of kids
true.
movies coming out either.
True.
There's been less kids movies.
That Pet movie has been out for like 2 months.
2-3 months.
There's, like,
Secret Life
nothing
of
else
Pets.
came out.
Yeah, like we've had the Pet movie, and like the last few kids movies that come out, the
Finding Dory.
the longevity of them, like the popularity, seems like it's lasted for so long because there hasn't been anything else to come in and replace it. Like Frozen is still so popular because there hasn't been another Disney movie to come in and replace it. There hasn't been another princess movie to replace Frozen yet.
So we have the new one then. Well, I think it's Pixar, right? My Way?
Mona or something like that.
Yeah, Mona, the Hawaiian princess one.
With Dwayne The
My
Rock
Way.
Johnson.
Yes,
that's
he's
been
there
getting,
again.
that's been
But
getting
there's-
a lot of shit for being for being extremely
racial.
like
Racist, and that's just
racial stereotypes, which I
people
feel
gotta
like
stick up their butt.
people are going to complain about it either way. They're going to complain for either ignoring things that are ignoring traditions that should have been mentioned in the film as far as Hawaiian traditions go, or they're going to complain about it because, oh well, you got it wrong. So that's a
Damned if you do, damned if
that's
you
a
don't.
lose-lose situation, and people just need to stop bitching.
Kind of
Did
like
it even
this
come
movie,
out
you
yet?
would have so much of that backlash with this one. Saying,
That's why-
oh, every Asian guy knows kung fu.
That's why
we're
I
all
don't
mystics.
give a shit about the racism in the movies that much. I don't care. Because guess what? Most of the times when you see a German person in a movie, they're always a Nazi.
Well, that's
They're
because that's
always a
always
bad
true.
guy.
They're always a bad guy, they're always a Nazi when you see a German person in a movie most of the time. So I don't really care about racial whatever the hell in movies.
Right. And if you think about it, it's like, we need a German person here. It's like, well, what's the movie theme? Oh, we can't use that unless it's going to be World War II age or something like that.
Or, yeah, a Bond villain or something.
Yeah, I can't think of a good German.
There you go.
I'm trying to just think of a movie where you had, like, I'm sure there is somewhere, and I can't recall it, but yeah, that's one of the, it's like one of those groups of people that you can do whatever you want to, as long, it's like, if you make them a Nazi, you could kill them in any way possible, and everybody be okay with it.
Yeah. So, yeah, but people just need to stop complaining about stuff like that.
It's alright.
Yeah.
We have safe spaces now.
Yeah.
Even though, there might be certain people who won't agree with it. And as we get controversial here, so...
Well,
It's
Do you
okay.
think this was one of Kirk Douglas's...
It's okay. They can go yell
Kirk
at
Douglas?
They can go yell at
I'm
me
not
and
the
let's
only one.
Kurt
you
Russell's
gotta
Better
get
Bullet
comments
movie?
somehow, right?
Well, yeah, let's get it back on track. Like, for it, overall, Kurt Russell, like, I don't know how many people... How many people here know a lot of Kurt Russell movies? And I've seen
No.
Jenny and Red
No,
Shaker.
no,
So it's
no,
only us.
no.
So
Like, I know-
he's a manly man.
I know of him, but I think this was the first movie that I've seen with him in it.
Really?
I probably might have seen others, but I just didn't know what his name was.
Well, a lot of his movies were essentially the campy... He was essentially the triple-A Bruce Campbell of B-triple-A movies.
Yeah. I mean, Stargate, I've seen Stargate, but I just didn't know what the guy's name was. That's all.
Never seen Stargate.
And
Really?
we'll get into it when we go into the cast, but if I remember correctly, his character's quite bland.
True, and maybe that's why he didn't really stand out, because I think that's totally different from this movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was,
Totally different
I was
character.
wondering about that because I'm I was wondering, is he like this?
No,
Is this character similar to other characters that he's played?
No, not really.
I think that should be really interesting when we get to the Stargate cast to like see the different characters. Like the whole month, I think should be really interesting because to see all the different things that a person can be in.
It just seems like
all
such
the
a
different
laid-back personality type. I'm just like, is he
But-
just being really lazy, or
Yeah, I mean, and I think
has
that's the difference
range.
between
Okay.
Characters from this era of movie. I mean, not characters, but actors from this era of movie. Like they were, they were able to do a lot of other things. They were able to be in movies that were funny, and they were able to be in action movies, and and they were able to do that. And we have we have actors who play themselves, or they don't know how to do anything aside from this one character. Like Nicolas
typecasting
Cage.
to the extreme?
Every Nicolas Cage character is exactly the same. They're all the same.
Yep.
How
There are
dare
no
you?
I'm sorry.
How dare
I'm sorry.
you?
There are no facial expressions. There's no acting whatsoever.
You have not
There's
watched
nothing.
Nicolas Cage films. I
I've seen
refuse to
so
believe you.
many. I've
Yeah.
seen so many Nicolas Cage films,
You
and they're all
dare
the same.
insult the golden
I'm sorry.
god.
I'm sorry. He's not that good of an actor. And he can
Yeah.
only do that one thing. He can only do that one type of character. He doesn't do anything
I
else.
like Face Off. I like that one with Sean Connery. Was it Escape from
The Rock.
Alcatraz? No, The Rock. There it is.
Escape from
The
Alcatraz.
Rock.
That was
I don't
Clint
know.
Eastwood?
I have no idea. There was something about a prison movie, and Alcatraz is a prison, so whatever.
That was the sequel.
I like The Rock. I liked Face Off, but yeah, he's the same person in every movie.
Yeah.
Well, and even Jason Statham I mean, Jason Statham's great. Don't get me wrong. I love him.
Oh, so do I, but he is Jason Statham.
He's himself the whole
he is
time.
not
He
any
never. He doesn't go out of that realm. He's always that character.
That makes me
always.
wonder-
And he's a good character like that. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
That
I
makes
love
me
that.
wonder
I
if that's what
Transporter,
broke
but the
love that.
Transporter
Bruce
2 and
Oh,
3
oh.
were exactly the same.
I love Jason Statham movies. I mean, don't get me wrong. But I mean, he's
Talking over
always
each other too much.
that. He's always that character.
Hmm.
Always. So there's no,
Range.
variance. Yeah, there's no range. So I think it should be really interesting to see all the other things Kurt Russell was in and see if they're any different. Any of the other characters are any different from one movie to another.
Yes.
We're doing an interesting social experiment on Kurt Russell.
Who's next month?
An interesting character study.
How about The Rock? Who's The Rock month?
We might be disappointed in those findings.
Yeah, that's true. Can we do Vincent Price month?
That might be
Calm
interesting.
yourself.
October's coming up, though. We need to do a themed month for October.
No, because
Halloween
everybody
month.
does that.
Halloween month.
Everybody does
I want to
that.
watch Hocus Pocus.
We can pick that for Halloween. I don't mind. That should be the Halloween movie is Hocus Pocus.
Boris
But has
Karloff.
every single site does a Halloween, like a Halloween month.
Oh,
Every
the
So-
guy
single
who played the
What else
the
would
zombie.
everyone-
Everyone's doing it.
What else would you do? There is no, that's what you do.
No, you do Christmas in October and you do Halloween in December.
We'll make you watch the very first Dracula with Bela Lugosi.
There you go. How about Boris Karloff movies?
No, I prefer the one that was redone with
How about every
Gary
movie?
Oldman.
All right, we should get
That
back on
they-
track. We're
Yeah.
going
Every-
way off a track.
Every Edgar Allan Poe movie that not every, but Edgar Allan Poe
We
movies that they
watched-
adapted.
A series
all good.
of cartoon shorts with Edgar Allan Poe. I think you would really like. It's on Netflix.
Oh, sorry.
All right. I think
You may finish, Mike.
Go ahead.
overall, I think we have the gist of the film in certain areas. So I'd like to go into the normal ending. Add another question. How did you like Kurt Russell?
Are you asking me? Is
Yes.
that why you're looking at me?
Yes. Well,
Because I.
I'm going to ask a new
contract.
question to wrap up. Like, how did you feel Kurt Russell was in this movie? Let's go with Noosh.
I found it was fine. There was really no... The acting was perfect for what he was being given. And the movie itself was meant to be funny. He just went with it.
Yeah, I think he had a ball during this film. I feel that, like, that energy from him. I love him in this movie. I have a new appreciation for this movie after sitting it down and looking at it, because I've seen it when I was, like, a decade ago, and I thought it was just okay. It was a quirky 80s movie, but now I'm looking at it, and I can see what it is, and I like this movie a lot. How about you, Jenny?
I mean, I liked Kurt Russell. Yeah, he was a lot of fun. The movie was a lot of fun. I mean, I'm not saying I hated it, but, it was just a little over the top.
And you, Britt?
A little too silly.
How was Kurt Russell to you?
He was alright. He seemed like he was having fun with it. His performance didn't seem as forced as Kim Cattrall's. So, it was alright.
What would you change to make this movie better for you? It's only an opinion. Please don't kill us. Jenny? Nothing?
Don't ask me first.
All right, Noosh. They're both giving me these weird looks. The devil's stare.
I guess maybe having some kind of backstory. Like, the story was given verbally. It would have been interesting to see of how over the top they were going with everything, how over the top they would have made the backstory.
Backstory of what?
Lo Pan, when he was being cursed and everything.
I see.
Oh, so you're saying like a flashback or something?
Yes.
Still need more time, Jennifer?
No, I was thinking about it, and I didn't really like the whole like love thing between Kurt Russell and the main female character. I didn't like that whole like the kiss was stupid. It came out of nowhere. There was no build up to it. There was no tension at all that you could feel that she was even in the process of beginning to like this character. It totally came out of left field. And it didn't add anything to the movie. Absolutely not. It was just not necessary to me. They could have taken that whole bit out.
I like the movie just the way it is. The only thing, maybe, more ending fight with the three elements, because some of them were just like done and over with. The guy blows himself up, and that's it.
That was awesome, though.
The second thing I would
like even those, like every super guy except for Lau Pen, who at the end is just an old man. Kurt Russell couldn't beat any of them. He just kept failing, and even with the love interest, like he didn't get anything from it, because I think to have him get the girl would have been like negative to his character.
I get that.
Like
It
he
would have
even
made
messes
him-
that up kind of at the
No.
end.
I mean, I get that. It would have made him the main character. Or the main hero, or whatever. You know, as opposed to the sidekick.
Yeah.
But I still think it was not necessary to the movie at all. It's just not. I'm not saying it should have gone somewhere. I'm just saying
exactly what
it's
you're
not
saying.
necessary. Yeah. Can I have a second one, though?
What's that?
I really didn't like the end, like how the main bad guy died. It was really
Climactic?
Yeah, it was really anticlimactic.
They killed the bad guy, and then you had the three storms left.
Yeah, it took him like one shot. It was like, that was it? That's it? Like, he's not really that big of a deal if he could go down in one shot.
Well, he was human then, so yeah, he could have gone down in one shot.
I know, but I was expecting more of a fight.
So if I asked you if you were going to have your cell phone out when you watched this again, it would be a yes?
I had it out the first time.
Oh.
Did you ask her what she wanted to change?
Apparently my opinion doesn't matter.
Britt, if you could change one thing, what would it be? No, it can't be more Nazis.
But Nazis would make it interesting.
This is not Germantown.
Come on, in Indiana Jones, they're always looking for mystical objects. They would have found a ton of it in this movie.
Crossover, I see it.
It seemed like that there was some kind of history between, what's his name, Lau Pan?
Yeah.
Between
and Egg.
Lau Pan
Exxon.
and Egg, that there was some kind of history that stretched way back with them. So a little bit of maybe a flashback or just elaboration on that would have been helpful and interesting.
Yeah, but we got the climax where they played Nintendo with each other.
That was cute. I liked that.
So.
I laughed. I thought that was amusing.
All right.
When he was playing Nintendo.
He's just using it.
Nintendo pinkies!
I
and Egg's just got a rock.
Yeah. So.
PC versus console.
No.
No!
So, Britt, since cell phone, as you take another swig.
Probably.
I would not have
This
it
is
out.
my second time seeing it, so if I see it a third or fourth time, I may not even be in the room for a third or fourth time.
I think I'm probably going to have to pick this movie up with soon. How about you, Noosh?
I've seen this movie so many times.
One of your favorites?
when I was at my grandparents and I saw like a guy, I was like a kid, and when I'm seeing electricity being thrown around by a guy, I'm like, I'm watching that.
Best movie ever. And it wasn't really... Was this PG-13? It didn't seem like an R-rated film at all.
No.
Seems that
It
way.
was like-
There was no profanity, and we
No
didn't
blood.
see any
Yeah.
nakedness or blood or anything.
Yeah.
My 13-year-old self would have been shitting kittens if I saw this.
There were swords, and we didn't see anybody actually get slashed or stabbed.
Yeah.
I think the most violent thing that we saw was when he was trying to stab a knife through her wrist, and the guy exploding.
Giant needle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there
It
was a
didn't
giant
even go
needle,
in.
and there was blood on his fingertips. That was the only time there
Just
was
a little
blood.
bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can wrap it up. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can find us at STMtWT. You can find
Try
us
that
on
again.
you can find us on Twitter at STMtWT Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at /STMtWT. If you want to email us with a request that I will eagerly read, yell at you, and be sad, I don't know why.
What? Cut that.
If you have okay. If you have a request, please email it to STMtWTpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you. Take care.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?